Hello there, my name is Astrocraft, and today I have a time-lapse for you. This is a character I made for My Hero Academia AU one of my roommates was making a while back. Going into this drawing, I had no clue what I wanted this character to look like, to be honest. His quirk is called electromagnetic manipulation, which is very on the nose, but did end up being helpful when I was trying to figure out the color palette for this character. The idea was for me and my roommate to each be writing a villain and hero AU for the characters we made. Since magnets have a positive and negative side to them, I wanted to incorporate that into this drawing. Since this is the villain character, I used blue as his main color and red as an accent, mainly in his eyes, which is hopefully a good hint at what kind of character he is. I ended up naming this guy Omen, but really that's more of a stage name than anything. I haven't decided on his quote-unquote legal name yet. According to Google, the definition of an omen is an event regarded as a portent of good or evil, which is very fitting. Omen believes his abilities are more of a curse than a gift because it causes him to constantly emit small amounts of radiation. As he grows up, Omen does build a resistance to the radiation, but it still did have an effect on him. Namely, it altered the gene that gets tested to confirm if you have a quirk or not, so when his parents tested him as a child, they believed he was completely quirkless. The people around Omen weren't able to build up a tolerance to the radiation. Several of his family members ended up getting very sick and weren't able to be saved. When Omen was around 8, he had no more living relatives and was put into several foster homes, but he would run away when he noticed them starting to get sick as well. Omen spent a lot of his life on the run, but after a few years he was able to find a secluded little hideaway to call home. Despite not going to any kind of public school, Omen did his best to stay well educated. He spent a lot of his time at public libraries, especially when it was too cold to be outside. One day on his way home, Omen was attacked by a villain. Up until this point, Omen had believed he was completely quirkless, as he never learned how to use his power, and it was fairly different from both of his parents' quirks. But when the villain cornered him in a dark alley, his flight or fight response activated, and he emitted a powerful blast, knocking the guy to the ground. However, Omen didn't get to enjoy his newfound power for long, as he began to black out from the sudden surge of power. Eraserhead, one of my favorite heroes, had been following the villain that attacked Omen. When he saw the kid passed out in the alley, he quickly called for an ambulance. Something about this kid really intrigued Aizawa, so he followed him to the hospital and stayed by his side until he woke up. This is the point in the story where we split into either the hero or villain AU. In the hero AU, Omen, who probably goes by a different name in this universe, works with Aizawa and tells him about his life thus far and how he thought he had no quirk at all until tonight. Aizawa gets Nezu involved in the situation, and together they help Omen develop his quirk and work to provide him with special gear to keep the people around him safe. He goes on to join the hero course with Deku and the others. And that's about as much as I know about the hero AU. That's not the one I'm writing. In the villain AU, Omen is very cautious of Aizawa and the hospital staff. He waits until Aizawa is called to help with a nearby emergency and runs off. He continues to live on the streets, working on his own to figure out his quirk. One day he runs into Toga, not knowing she's a member of the League of Villains, and the two hit things off really well. Omen shows her his hideaway and agrees to let her stay with him, but he warns her that no one can stay for long or they get really sick. He isn't sure why, but he thinks it's because of his quirk. Toga is very sympathetic to this, and together they work to find a way to stop Omen's quirk from hurting the people around him. Omen is initially a little put off by Toga's need for blood, but as she starts to bring in money from her victims, he brushes it off. Slowly, Omen starts to get wrapped into the League of Villains' antics no matter how hard he tries to avoid them. There's a lot more to Omen's story, and this is a very oversimplified version of everything, but I think that's all we have time for today. If you enjoyed this video and the art in it, be sure to check out the links in the description. I'm on Bluesky, TikTok, and of course, YouTube. If you would like to support my art, feel free to check out my Redbubble for various prints, including this one.